Hi and welcome to Marissa's Kitchen. Today I'm going to talk about what I think are some of the strengths and challenges of doing Trim Healthy Mama. I've been considering doing this video for a while. My husband was telling me you really should do this video and I wasn't sure because the last thing I would want to do is to discourage someone from taking steps to becoming healthier. And so my intent with this video is not to tell you all the negative things so that you are scared off from Trim Healthy Mama. I personally don't love a lot of unknowns when I'm doing something new, so I thought this could be helpful to somebody. So let's start with the strengths. The first one I want to talk about is that you don't have to pay to join anything. That's one thing I really like about Trim Healthy Mama. Nowadays, the book has been out. I've been doing Trim Healthy Mama for 8 years now, and so there are, probably a ton of copies out there in the world, and this is the book that I started with, and you could check at your local library and see if they have it to start reading about it. There is also a shorter guide in the beginning of this cookbook, so you might see if your library has this one. And it's just a short little synopsis of the plan in the beginning. I feel like you don't have to join. They have a membership site. There's no join this membership to get the information. You can join the Trim Healthy Mama Facebook group, and that is where there's a huge wealth of information. I love that you don't have to pay to join something in order to do it. Speaking of the Trim Healthy Mama Facebook group, that goes into my second thing I wanted to say, is that success happens when you aren't doing something alone. And I love the community that you can find in Trim Healthy Mama, whether that is through the Trim Healthy Mama Facebook group, through Instagram, through finding other Facebook groups that are location oriented. I am in part of a THM Alaska group. There's just ways that you can foster relationships, and there's awesome coaches out there that could help you on your journey. I love that there is just a really positive atmosphere as well on the Trim Healthy Mama Facebook group, and they really try to keep it upbeat and positive. That's something that I think really helps people have success in the long run, is that you don't feel alone in what you're doing. The third thing is that you can eat a lot of variety in Trim Healthy Mama. Because the meals are, there's two different meal types. One that is, the whole thing is low glycemic, but there's meals that are really low carb, and then there's meals that have up to 45 net carbs in your meal or snack. And so you don't feel deprived because you're not restricting and having things where you can't, certain foods are just completely off limits. It's only in particular meals where you choose for that meal, I'm gonna eat this way for this meal, and then you kind of go off how your body feels. So if you really start to feel like you don't have energy, that's why you would eat an E meal, which is what they call their energizing meal. And that one has some complex carbs. You can have fruit, you can have sprouted bread. And I love that about Trim Healthy Mama, is that you can have, they don't cut out any major food groups and say you can't eat these, because our bodies need all of them. I talk about this in one of my other videos, but I really like that there's fairly simple tweaks that you can make to meals that you already enjoy. So I will link to that video above, but where I already talk about that. But as far as just tacos, you can have taco salad or have it with a low carb wrap instead of regular tortillas. So it's just little tweaks that make meals that you already enjoy on plan. Another strength about Trim Healthy Mama is that there is no lack of recipes to try. If you are somebody that likes to cook, you will have a wealth of recipes. I haven't even scratched the surface of all the recipes that I would like to make. So there's a lot of variety, and you can find your meals that you really like, that are like your go-to meals. But if you enjoy just branching out and trying lots of different things, there is no limit to trying different meals and snacks. I have really appreciated the fact that they have really great resources. So they came out with their THM Analyzer, Food Analyzer app, which is a free app that you can get. So they have really quality things that are free and really quality things that are paid, and you can pick and choose. You can listen to their podcast, their weekly podcast, for free and gain a lot of information from that. And I did pay to download the THM Journey app, which is like a food accountability posting pictures app. Again, the membership site has a ton of recipes on there, and you can build a menu plan on there. And I've done that at different times when they've had different sales going on about it. So I just feel like there's really excellent resources that if you want to spend the money on, you can, but you don't have to, and there's lots of free stuff out there too. The next thing I want to talk about as far as the strength of Trim Healthy Mama is that they create their own really quality products. I love that Trim Healthy Mama comes up with their own products, because you know that you're getting really, really high quality stuff that they have put a lot of time and energy and research into. And so you don't have to go, okay, am I buying the right thing at the store? If you want to know that you're getting the right thing, you can just purchase from them directly. I think you're getting a great deal on their products because of, the way that they put such thought and energy and time into finding pure sources for things, and they often will tell us about where they have found the stevia or where they get their coffee. It's something that they put a lot of thought and effort into. One other strength is that you might get healthier in other areas of your life than just eating. So I love that there's so many people on there that are just seeking to be healthier, and so there's just conversations that come up, and I feel like my life on a whole I've gotten a lot healthier in a lot of areas of my life because of doing Trim Healthy Mama and finding out about different exercise things that people are doing. Just random health stuff comes up on the group, and while they do try to keep the group focused, I find that some of those posts are really helpful. And last but not least, out of the strengths, you might start to care more about health and less about your weight. That is one thing that Trim Healthy Mama has given me, is an appreciation for the why behind things, not just this is the end result that I'm fighting for, but I actually care about nutrition, and I'm seeing that I'm passing that on to my kids as well. Okay, let's talk about some of the challenges of doing Trim Healthy Mama. Part of being on the Trim Healthy Mama Facebook group is that you will often hear posts talking about different this hot topic food item. And if you don't listen to the potty, which I actually don't listen to the potty, I do occasionally if it's something that really piques my interest, but and I might start to, but I feel like I'd want to go back and start at the beginning, and that feels like too overwhelming. So I don't know. It's just hasn't happened yet in this season of my life. However, sometimes I feel a little out of the loop on the Trim Healthy Mama Facebook group. Is somebody will be talking about some superfood, and everybody, you see like a billion posts where people are taking pictures of that particular food, and you feel a little left out. So that to me is sometimes a challenge, but at the same time, those posts often are ones that pique my interest, and then I learn about it, and I'm also, jumping on the bandwagon of, okra and shakes and sunning my mushrooms, and what's some of the most recent ones, eating a lot of yellow potatoes that we didn't get used to be able to eat. The most recent is magnesium and the dynamic duo greens powder mixed together. So sometimes you will feel out of the loop, and in a group of that size, that is bound to happen, but that is okay. Just know that you're not alone. Another challenge with Trim Healthy Mama is that sometimes there's so many recipes, and now that there's 4 cookbooks, and it can be a little overwhelming to know where to start. There is a really great starter guide that I'm thinking it's Gwen's Nest. I'll double check the website, that I highly recommend. That was something that I took a look at when I was starting. I recommend start with one meal of the day. Say, okay, I'm gonna start with breakfast, or I'm just gonna start with snacks. And that's what I did. I started just snacks and switch those over. And then when you start to feel like you're getting the hang of it, then, try picking up another meal, your lunches, and try that. So that it can be really overwhelming to know where to start. This next one is something that I have really struggled with in my 8 years of doing Trim Healthy Mama, is if you don't space your meals right and you end up having a lot of cheats, you are basically creating a high-fat diet that makes it easy to gain. So it's really important that you learn the spacing on the timing of your meals, because if you don't, then you are creating a lot of crossovers. And crossovers are unplanned, but what you don't want is to be doing crossovers all the time, because that will stall your weight. So that is something that you really, the timing piece is as big of a piece as the actual meal types. You can accidentally fuel stack. And this is something that Pearl goes more in depth on in the Stubborn Losers menu. So if you're not finding that Trim Healthy Mama is working for you, you may check out that menu, and that's on the membership site. So you do have to pay to get to that menu. But that has been really helpful for me to learn more about fuel stacking, because if you're eating the correct meal types, but your spacing is off, then you are fuel stacking and it can unknowingly create a stall. If you were to have a S dessert with 6 net carbs after you had an S dinner with 6 net carbs, you've now created an S helper. So there's some fuel stacking, which I feel like are kind of the more what do I call it? They're the more complex rules and guidelines of doing Trim Healthy Mama that aren't necessarily taught when you're first starting out. And so when you kind of get into it and fine tune it and realize, like, you know, problem solving of what's working, what isn't working, you might find out that you're fuel stacking and be a little bit frustrated. So that is something that you have to be careful of. Another challenge that I've had at times with Trim Healthy Mama is to get done with a meal, and even though I ate a lot and it was maybe something that was really high fat because it was this really indulgent S meal, but for some reason I cannot get filled up. And I know this is not everyone's experience, but you might be one of those people that needs that little bit of carbs. You can have like 6 net carbs in a 6 to 10, depending on if it's a low carb item, only 6 net carbs, but you can have up to 10 net carbs. I don't want to confuse anyone on that, but 6 net carbs in a S meal. And I would recommend making sure that you get those carbs, because you might find that no matter how much you're eating, because it's low carb, your body's still looking for carbs. And so that might be where it's good to switch it up and do an E meal. But for me, there's been times when I felt like, okay, I had this huge plate of food with all this cheese and I should be full. It's not going to fill you up the same way that bread, you know, expands in your stomach. You're going to find that you have to eat a lot more of those high fat things to really feel full. And that's where non-starchy veggies come in, that you really, really want to incorporate those and fill up on those so that you're not eating an exorbitant amount of fat. Even though there's not limits in the S meal, it can get a little excessive. Trim Healthy Mama might not be one that your family members get excited about, simply because of the name. That alone, they might not feel like this is how they should be eating, that it's just your thing. And so it might not appeal to your family members, or you may find that you are making something for yourself and making something for your family. I don't recommend doing that a lot, but sometimes I will make something for dinner and make a carb source for my family that I'm not eating. So that's a way that I have found to balance it. I personally have never had a problem with the name. I like the name, but my husband, that when I asked him what he thought, that was one that he threw out. Depending on how deep down the rabbit hole you go as far as like shakes and sippers and desserts, you may find that your kitchen is always a mess. That was one thing I feel like. My blender is used multiple times a day, and I don't have an expensive blender. You don't have to have an expensive blender to do Trim Healthy Mama. I feel like that I should do a whole nother video on that, but I do feel like it is a lot to keep up with the drinks and the shakes and the, you know, you can feel like you're spending a lot of time in the kitchen and creating a lot of mess. And for someone who, like me, who likes things as simple as possible, I'm always looking for the easiest ways. So you be sure and check out my other videos, because I do give tips and tricks to try to simplify Trim Healthy Mama as much as possible. And last but not least, the longer you do Trim Healthy Mama, the more that you're gonna want just all the products, because they're amazing, and that can get expensive. You know, your husband, or you, if you're the financial savvy one in your family, you might not like the amount of money you're spending in a year on Trim Healthy Mama products, but I do think that, you know, you are taking strides to be healthier, and in the long run, those things are really gonna pay off. Everybody's budget is different, and I love that there's a lot of blogs, articles out there on making Trim Healthy Mama work as cheaply as possible. But my family's coming home, so I'm gonna wrap this video up. If you have anything else you wanna add to this list, be sure and drop it in the comments below. If this video was helpful to you, the best compliment you can give is a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.